gentlemen.
So hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about top 10 Power BI interview questions. Top 10 means these questions are going to be asked to you and I am going to tell you how confidently and what you exactly have to answer at that time. So don't forget to watch the complete video because I'm going to take you through each and every question and the answers as well. So let's see what's the question number one. So the question number one is that interviewer might ask you a question, explain a bit about your latest Power BI project. So in that case, what you have to do is you have to focus on four things. First should be the problem that you are trying to solve using your Power BI project. That what was the exact challenge of that particular business that you try to address. Second should be your role. You have to highlight your role, that what exactly was your contribution in that project. Third should be the technical aspects. It means what all you have used, that what was the data source, what was your modeling techniques, and you also have to mention the visualization that you have used in your project. And the fourth and the last point that you should mention should be the result. That's a very important point because they are looking forward to the one who is ready to make improvements, who is willing to show, giving benefits to the organization. So you also have to quantify your results in terms of benefits and improvements for the organization's prospect. So let's see the second question. So they will ask you how to handle missing values. What's your way of handling the missing values? So in this case, you can mention 3 points. The number one is that you have to tell that first thing that we have to do is to identify the missing values. Identify the missing patterns. So in this case, you have to also understand, you have to also mention the nature of the missing data. That missing completely at random or missing at random or missing not at random. So these are certain things that you need to mention over there, and then you also have to choose the appropriate techniques. So that also you have to mention that I used imputation, I deleted some rows, I did modeling based on the data characteristics and business impacts. And the third point should be the data quality. That on the basis of the business challenge that you were given, on the basis of that I have done these data quality formation. You can access the impact of the missing data on the analysis and the reporting. That is how you have to answer this question. So let's get back on the third question. The question number 3 is what is DAX exactly, and give an example of the DAX function. Now what is DAX? DAX means that data analysis expression. So this is a kind of a formation, you can say this is a kind of a expression that has to be written on the Power BI platform that will also help you to create calculations and create measures that may be related to the new column or the existing column. Second thing, you can give an example that how exactly the DAX will work. So let's suppose I wanted to calculate the sales. As per the sales amount, I wanted to calculate the total sales. Then in that case, I have to use the sum function on the sales column and the sales amount. So that is how you are going to calculate the total sales amount. There are many more functions which are called DAX function, like you can use calculate function, you can use filter function, you can use agrex function. So let's see what's the question number 4. So the question number 4 is how do you disable a graph that is changing dynamically? So we make graphs that is, we make it annotate, right? So that other person who is going to view it can filter it according to their convenience. So if I wanted to disable it, then how I can do that? So simply you have to say that for this you have to go to the edit interaction feature, and this will allow you to control which visualizations are affected by the slicers or filters. On the basis of that, you have to uncheck that particular visual that you wanted to, make disable. Let's see what is the question number 5. So the question number 5 is that you have to explain RLS and how do you implement RLS. So RLS is basically row level security. Row level security means this is a kind of a feature that controls data visibility. You can say on the basis of the user role and the user attribute as well. So if in case of the implementation, you have to also mention that you have to create a role and then you have to assign them to the user, whichever role you wanted to assign to that particular user, you can do that. And you have to also define the security filters based on the user's context. Suppose there is a second person who has, whom you have allotted that, then in that case, you have to make sure you have done this. The best feature is that you have to implement the performance implication and test thoroughly whatever you have done in the RLS. The question number 6 is that you have to explain the process of publishing a report. If you are prompted to, publish a report, what is the steps that you are going to follow? So first is you have to export your Power BI services. You have to save the reports in the Power BI workspace. Once you are done with that, you have to do the data refresh. Once the setup of the data refresh is scheduled, if it is necessary, because maybe the data is generated every single minute or every single second, you can say, then in that case you need to do that. Then also you have to make sure the user permission, that you have to manage the user accesses and the permissions that you are allotting along with the reports, because you have to make sure whichever data, whichever thing you are sharing is not getting leaked or maybe for the wrong purposes as well. So you have to make sure that. Then you have to do the distribution and you have to consider sharing the report to the specific user or the groups that you have prompted. So question number 7 is how to create relationship in Power BI. You have to identify the common column. On the basis of the common column, which is the matching data between two tables or more tables, then in that case you have to create the relationship. You have to use the manage relationship button, and in that you will find the cardinality as 1 to 1, 1 to many to 1, and many to many relationship. And considering the cardinality, you have to create the relationship. Question number 8 is how to schedule a refresh in Power BI, because every data is not static data. Right now you might be a beginner and you might be working on some graphs where you have downloaded the Excel sheets or CSV sheets and you are working on that. But in organization, this is not how we work. In organization, you will be working with the databases, so you need to refresh the schedule. You need to schedule a refresh for the Power BI data. So you have to navigate to the data set settings, and there itself you will find the access dataset settings in the Power BI services. There you have to schedule the refresh. You have to make sure you configure the refresh frequency, that how frequent you want it and what should be the time and what should be the delivery option. Everything you need to set. Then you have to do the data source and the credential. You have to ensure that there is a correct data source connection and the credentials added for the same. Otherwise the refresh won't be successful. The question number 9 is how to perform join operation. So everything is possible on Power BI, whether it is related to the relationship or creating joins. So join is basically using merge queries. Merge queries means you have to combine data from multiple tables using merge operations like inner join, left join, right join, cross join, full outer join. These type of joins you can use. Append query means where you are going to stack the rows from the multiple tables to the single table. Suppose you have one table and all other tables you wanted to combine with the one table, then in that case you can use the append query. Otherwise you can go with the merge queries as well. There is also one thing that you need to mention in this question, that is the data profiling. Data profiling means we have to understand the data structure before joining to avoid any errors, because when you are trying to connect the two data sets or two different tables without any relationship, then in that case you might encounter an error. So you have to make sure about the data profiling as well. The last question, which is the question number 10, that is the difference between calculated column and the measure. What is the difference between calculated column and the measures? And in that case you have to mention both the things. First should be your calculated column that is added to the table, where you are going to mention that it is the table which contains values calculated from each rows. But measure is a dynamic calculation that can be used in the various visualization and in context dependent. And when to use it? If you have the static values, if you wanted to add the static value, then in that case you can go with the calculated column. Otherwise, for the dynamic calculation, you can go for the measure. So these were some top 10 questions, but here is the best practices for you that you should follow as if you are going for the data analyst role or Power BI. First should be you have to focus on the data modeling. Data modeling means how to create appropriate relationships and hierarchies while you are working on the data sets. Second should be your performance optimization, that you have to use the techniques like DAX optimization, aggregation, data reduction. All these things you have to learn so that you will feel confident that okay, I am now fully confident to present myself in the interviews. Third thing which I would suggest you is that follow the guidelines for the formatting. You don't have to do the random formatting in your data. You don't have to go and choose the random graphs. Learn about which graph to use and when, and then also understand what's the user experience. Basically, whenever we are sharing the graphs, we are looking forward for the experience of the second person. So I hope you like this video. Don't forget to hit the like button for more videos like this, and don't forget to comment your ideas that you are looking for the videos on. Bye bye.